Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Clark, and I'm here with my husband, Jack Clark, here
Hello.
in just north of Atlanta, Georgia. And we are here tonight with Dr. Mark DeBrinket. He's down in Florida in the US. So we welcome you from different countries in the world here. We're glad that you joined us tonight. So we have a great presentation Dr. Mark has put together um, talking about the brain and redox signaling molecules. It was just, we got to hear it 5 hours ago on another call we did for the other side of the world, and it's just so informative. These molecules are what saved my husband Jack on here 12 and a half years ago when some horrible, horrible, horrible agony hit him after radiation. So anyway, if you can see him, he's shaking his head yes. um, anyway, we talk about that in depth other times, but we wanted to go ahead and we're going to start this presentation. Dr. Mark was just so open when I met him 10 years ago. He was just, it was so refreshing because you can tell a lot of medical people when you see them and they just look at you like, like you have like 3, 4 eyes or something. Like, what are you talking about? He was all in. He was like, why don't I know about this? Tell me about this. Little did I know such a personal need that he had for the product. I had just met him, didn't know anything about him. So I'm so grateful for him being open. We've been able to team up for 10 years, helping thousands all around the world. Many of you on here are here because he opened his mouth, told a patient in Northern Ireland. And he has told a lot of people, but one was a nurse in England. And she told another lady in England, and a lot of you in Australia, New Zealand on here are here because he opened his mouth and shared with others. So anyway, I'm gonna let him, it's a little bit of a long, not long presentation, but I want to go ahead and get started with that. And then I want to show you on the back end some pictures of me and how this has helped me personally. So Dr. Mark, thank you for coming on again and sharing all your knowledge about redox and the brain especially, but really every cell.
Well, it's always my pleasure. Let's go ahead and get started. Good evening, everybody. I am Dr. Mark DeBrinket, the Good News Doctor, and I'm excited tonight to share with you my journey with ASEA and how these redox molecules have made such a huge impact in my practice. Now, I am a chiropractor by trade for 30 years, and I specialize in brain and spinal trauma. I've always been very fascinated with the brain, and since I've learned about ASEA 10 years ago now, this next month is our 10-year anniversary, it has absolutely catapulted the results that we get with patients that are seeking to return their brain health, to regrow tissues in their brain, to optimize their brain's output and return themselves to a younger, healthier version of themselves. And it seems like these redox molecules has absolutely given them wings to just soar. And prior to redox, we used to do treatments and then wait, wait for the body to catch up. And then we would treat again and then wait for the body to catch up. And it seemed like a lot of waiting. And now it's like we can just keep going and going and going. And like a little energizing bunny, it allows patients to break free of limitations neurologically, physically, chemically, emotionally, spiritually, even as people's brains come back online. Now, you could be treating symptoms all throughout your body and wonder why you just don't keep getting better and why you plateau. And then all of a sudden you look at your brain, it's like, oh, well, that's why. We can address a few issues and then right back like your younger, youthful, happier, more vibrant self. So I put together a little presentation. I have been for a profession doing clinical studies and trials on all different types of products and technologies throughout my career. And so I have done a few with ASEA over the last few years. And so I'm going to first explain what it is to preserve our brain health, what redox role is in our brain health and our brain function. And then I'm going to show you how we can assess and look at the brain to determine really how much damage is there, how long is it going to take to restore normal function. And then I'll end with sharing you my results from two different studies. One was with 60 people started the study and 55 ended it over a 90-day period, never been exposed to redox before. So let me just make this disclaimer. Both of these studies that you're about to see were done on people that have never been exposed to the supplement. And so in those first 90 days, they have much greater gain, and you don't keep having the same amount of gain every single 90 days. Otherwise, we'd all have 180 IQ and be brilliant. And so there definitely is a plateau to some extent once you reach your youthful cells, like you're going to get better, better, and better. And then we want to be able to maintain that youthfulness at that level. So, these experiences that people had in those first 90 days, as you know, 90% of the people find a breakthrough within those 90 days. And we can track it back to what part of the brain really had the biggest breakthrough and what that looks like in yourselves and in your body. So let me go ahead and start by sharing our screen. And we're going to talk about what it takes to preserve your brain health. This is truly the key to unlocking the full potential, not just in your brain, but in your nervous system and in your entire body. Now, not only am I a chiropractor who specializes in brain injuries and brain recovery and spinal, I had to also become my own best patient, unfortunately. My wife and I were in a head on collision and had massive injuries that left me permanently disabled for a lot of years. 17 years it took me to finally crack the code and get my abilities back. And that's been going on 11 years now, right? The same year that I found ASEA was the same year I broke free of my wheelchair, medications, and the limitations that had been on me for so very long. So I absolutely had an amazing experience with it personally, and then started seeing what it was doing in the brain and was just absolutely blown away. And it cascaded into this now. I've helped thousands of people all around the world not just understand brain health better, but be able to do things to impact the brain and help the brain, even though we're not face to face and using my physical technologies that we have. It's that redox potential that gives us the ability to truly help people anywhere on the planet. Now, when we look at the brain, there's two different compositions. I'm going to give you a quick little education on how the brain fires and functions. The image on the left is your cortex. That's the outer shell of your brain, like a melon. This is processing about 2,000 bits of data a second, and it's everything that you think your brain is. It's how you experience your life. It's what you think, say, feel, do. It's how you experience. You think it's your full brain, but this part of the brain, every little crumb of brain tissue there is processing about 2,000 bits of data per second. When we look into the white matter below, the core of our brain, now it's processing 400 million bits of data per second, and we don't even have to control it. It's all subconscious and unconscious. So it's an amazing instrument computer that we have within our skull that is faster than any superhuman computer on the planet. And we are not even tapping into a little bit of its potential. So, how does the brain work? Well, it's all about the synapses. Okay. We're using nerves to send molecules in between the junctions of the nerves, and those molecules are called redox signaling molecules. They're cleaning up the receptor sites and they're carrying those neurotransmitters across that nerve. So we're truly dependent on redox to play that role to get the message across that synapse. Now, where do these redox molecules originate from? Well, the good thing is we make them. We make them in every single type of cell in your body by these little mitochondria that looks like a bean. It's producing molecules of bioidentical or molecules that are energy to fuel and charge the power of our cells and then signal throughout our body so they can talk to each other. It's the language of our body's cells and how they talk. So before we get into really understanding how we evaluate the brain, I want to go a little bit deeper on what are the two main things that we see cause the most havoc in the brain or the most cognitive decline and issues with our overall brain health. And so there's two conditions we're going to talk about. The first one is called the general adaptation syndrome, or it's referred to as GAS. Some of you might know that as brain on fire. People are just wide open. You got so much on your plate, you don't know how to slow down, and you just go, 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 and you adapt. Well, here's the thing. Your organs are supposed to send you signals on when it's time to rest and slow down. And when we don't listen to that signal, it gets tired of telling you, so it stops signaling you. And then it says, okay, well, Mark says we all need to run, so there's no rest anymore. Everybody, come on. The new program is run. And so you stay running, running, running wide open. So there's three stages to this. There's an alarm reaction, your body's saying, hey, slow down. There's the resistance saying, I can't, I have too much debt. I got too much, I have to work. I can't take a day off. I'll get more behind. And then there's the exhaustion phase. You just continue to go wide open until your body just gives out and shuts down. And that is called running out of gas. Now, the typical cause of this is stress and how we're managing this stress and basically failure to slow down. Okay, failure to listen to your body's signaling that's telling you there's a problem and you fail to listen to that and you don't slow down and then you run out of gas. Now, this gas is considered the process. It's the step-by-step process of how your body handles and reacts to stress. Now, the other thing we're going to talk about is called an allostatic load. Okay, this is basically the accumulation of wear and tear on your body. How much stress is continuing to happen. Now, a stressful event should be over shortly. If it's followed by another one, it causes more load on your body, more wear and tear, and typically it lasts longer. Okay, and that cortisol could be very disruption. So frequently activations of stress over and over and over again continues to build up a higher load of the stress that you're bearing. And then failure to turn it off when it's done keeps that stress going for a long time. And you're prolonging the cortisol release, which is that stressful hormone. And it's inhibiting your body to have the adequate response of dealing with it and turning it off. Okay. So the inadequate response means the systems don't activate properly and don't let go of that load properly. And so the beautiful thing is redox signaling molecules will reverse the load. There was a recent study that they just talked about at this last convention that we were at on how over time with the redox molecules, the outcome is going to be less allostatic load. And so think of this load as the outcome. It's the price your body pays for holding on to stress and bearing it. And it's easy to say, hey, just let go of the stress. Don't let it bother you. Like, oh, why didn't I think of that? It's just not that easy. It's because we're lacking potential to deal with the stress. So, well, what's potential? Cellular potential is the amount of charge we hold on our cells. We either have a charge or we don't. And if you have a charge, guess what? Your body will maintain health and maintain function and vitality. And when you lose that charge, not a whole lot going on to defend itself. Okay. And the problem is the more symptoms we have and the more stress we hold, the more of a charge of our battery is stolen from us. And then, not to mention the fact that as we age, we don't produce as much redox molecules. So as we're young, we have more than our body needs because we're doubling in size every 3 months or every 6 months for 3 years. We're doubling in size when you're a newborn. So we have so much extra to fuel that potential and that growth. And then we get into our mid 20s and it starts to drop off. And so by the time we're 70 to 90, we're making, 10 to 30% of what we used to make in our 20s. So we don't even have enough fuel to run the cells the whole day without losing our charge. So think of this like the fuel for the battery that allows it to have potential. And as you have a recyclable battery over time, it just never charges as much. So the thing is when we're older, we need more than we did when we were younger, and we have less. So that is the problem. Add on to that the stress we bear and not being able to let go of the stress and not being able to slow down. We're setting ourselves up for early disaster and cognitive decline. So when we're young, our little mitochondria are so happy they're spinning out all sorts of redox molecules and energy for us. But then as we age, it's like, well, I can do like this much. I got a little for you. I don't have as much. I'm doing the best I can. You just kind of deal with what I can give you. That's all I can make at this time. So here's the key. We want to be able to make more, and we can't necessarily make more. We could for a short window when I have more healing to do, but we can't stay wide open or we're going to run out of gas. So, how do we look at the brain? How do we evaluate your brain to even know that you have a problem with this quote potential in our brain cells and in our brain tissue? And we do several different scans and kind of put them all together to create a wonderful picture for you. Now, the first thing is we want to make sure that you don't have hearing loss. So it begins with the full hearing test because hearing loss leads to cognitive decline. You can pretend that you're ignoring it, and I'm going to say, oh, I don't have hearing loss. Guess what? When you first have hearing loss, your brain fills in what you don't hear. So, in essence, you are hearing it, but you had to borrow resources and fill in that spot. So, it will lead to cognitive decline. And by the time you figure it out, it may be too late. When we find it early, we can actually treat it. So after the cognitive test, after the hearing test, we do what's called a full precognitive assessment. We can find dementia and cognitive decline up to 15 years out before it becomes a severe problem for you. And not only that, we can pinpoint exactly where it is happening. So this is like going into your brain and taking it for a test drive and putting stresses on your brain and seeing how you respond subconsciously. Remember, this is in the white matter that you have no control over. So when you hear a noise, you're looking for a specific noise to hit a button saying that's the noise and how fast can I hit it and am I accurately hitting it for the right noise. So the language center in your brain lights up. It says, oh, that was a noise. It then sends it to the frontal cortex that just says, okay, we need to decide what do we do with this. If it's this is for attention and memory. And now if it's an inhibitory saying, don't hit it, it's the wrong noise, then that goes to a certain part of the brain that lights up and says, stop, don't do it. Or it might go to an oddball sound that associates it with that. Or it's going to be the appropriate tone and you go right to that motor cortex and you hit it. So you may have a couple that's maybe in denial. One person thinks they don't have dementia, and the other spouse says, oh, you have it. And I don't even want to get in the car with you if you're driving, but yet they're in odds with each other. I've had to be the referee more than once in this situation. And this test allows us to see how much amplitude did it take to light up each area, how long did it take to complete the job, and how much energy did it take to complete the job. So then we can see in this case, the 3 green on the top, all the motor skills were 100%. So he was physically fine. But there's 21 metrics in here that can show me you're already in dementia and it's causing too much time to get these processes done. And you're borrowing too much energy from too many places. You have no spare reaction time, no reflex time, and you're putting yourself at risk because there's not going to be time to react quickly to anything. You're exhausting all your energy. And they immediately realize, wow, maybe I shouldn't be driving. That makes sense. And so it's not bad news. The good news is we know how we can help this. And having redox potential improved is the very first step to make all of this happen. We can do aggressive therapies and biohacks and other different tools that we have to accentuate this and make it happen faster. But inevitably, we now have a means to be able to track and monitor progress. We also do the full EEG, QEEG, which allows us to build the whole 3D replica of the exact brain's neurology. And I can say what each little cell in your brain is doing or not doing, okay, and how much potential, how much battery charge do these tissues hold. So, with all that wonderful information, we had, as I mentioned, done a couple different tests with the SIA. I was so curious because I've always added it to all the therapies we've done, and it just doubled everything. We got there twice as fast. We were no longer waiting for the brain to catch up. We could keep pushing and pushing and pushing and never hit a wall. It was just absolutely unbelievable. But in all of these 10 years, I never did a study where I wouldn't let anybody do any therapies, no other nutritional products, no new anything for 90 days. And then during that time, they were drinking 8 ounces a day and rubbing the Renew 28 on the front of their neck morning and night. And the results were nothing short of astonishing. Um, we would see changes after 20 hours of neurofeedback training to be around 10 to 25% of improvement in the overall neurology of the brain. And with ASEA, it was 52% as an average between the entire group of 55 people that finished the test. Five were disqualified, they had an injury, they needed to do therapy that would have skewed the results of the test. So out of 55 people, I've never seen these numbers this high to have this kind of positive change in the neurology. And it wasn't like it knew where to go, like each person knew where they were putting it. They just had to get it in them. And honestly, now that I've really studied the gut in more detail with redox, we understand now that it's actually helping the gut first, which is calming down the brain. Okay, I was always thinking the majority of it was going to the brain, but I had to kind of change my viewpoint on that after studying the gut, realizing that, oh, this is just a mirror of what's going on in the gut. So it's impossible to have a healthy brain if you have a really unhealthy gut. But the beautiful thing is redox does everything to bring potential and balance back to the microbiome and to the signaling of the nerves back and forth from your brain to your gut and the immune response and the detox. So every part of that is a redox function. So when we do these maps of the QEEG, we can literally see trauma. So this is the right and left brain of somebody, and they fell backwards and hit their head. So the red spot is usually the impact. You're seeing the right side on the left of the screen and the left side on the right. The nose is in the middle there. So these are two lateral views. And the brain got hit in the back. It bounced off the front of the brain and went right back to the point of impact. So it's usually the second impact where it rebounds that those two tissues come back at different speeds and cause a lot of damage. And so there's disconnect. And think of the blue like oxidative stress and slow potential. There's lag in those nerves firing. And the reds and yellows is inflammation, too much activity, too much bombarding of those nerve signals. That's not healthy either. So when we look at a mean, it's the whole group of 55. This is all what they had an average, mostly yellow, which is two deviations too fast. And at the end of it all, it as a group, all of their brains in those same areas turned mostly green, which is two deviation difference, which is again an amazing result. And then we had a study that we've done on the redox gold. This was very curious. I knew right away from using it myself and the 2 minutes it took to make the tingling and pain or discomfort, excruciating discomfort in my limbs, um, basically calm right down. And then I didn't have to put any on, and it literally lasted 3.5 days. I'm good for about 12 hours. Nothing's ever lasted that long. So this was astonishing. And I said, you know what? They're targeting this for discomfort relief, muscle relaxing, and recovery. It is a far more effective brain tool than the redox that we've been using. Now, it doesn't replace it. You know, if you stop drinking it, like I tried for a few days, the whole tide slowed down, and then I couldn't even get out of pain. So you really need to have primary is drink. Okay, I would say 8 ounces a day is the average minimum that I have most of my patients on and above. Okay, you can't actually take too much. If you do, it just converts back to saline, okay, in your body. So, with that, this was astonishing. We would take a pea size of the Renew Gold, place it right at the top of our neck in the soft spot before the skull, and rub up into your skull for just a minute. And we would remap these brains in 15 minutes. And it's always easy to calm down a brain. Okay. And the Renew Gel does a wonderful job at that. And to see something bring the potential back in and raise up a brain that's super oxidative stress, that's got slow potential, low potential, it's much more unusual. That was exactly what this does. It's an adaptogen. So if it's a blue brain like this, we see it immediately come back to homeostasis within 15 minutes. I've seen brains that were on fire, all red and yellow, and they calm down to green within 15 minutes. Well, how did the gold know to do that? It's targeting a single pathway that deals with oxidative stress or inflammation. Guess what? That's the two ends of the spectrum. So by activating that gene and helping your own body's cells identify, detect, and correct the issues within those cells faster, we were able to go down that one pathway and have incredible results. Now I can only imagine how much more we can push the brain because I don't have to take the entire keyboard and raise the whole piano. I just got to take one key, okay? And that one key is going to have a massive effect on this type of reaction in the body, neurological homeostasis. Now, here's another image where we look at the inside of the brain. And this image is very disruptive. The image on the left for information flow should be no lines at all. But if there are going to be any lines, they should be yellow or red. They should be too fast, okay, typically. To see blue and red in this same image means that this is a serious traumatic brain injury patient. So they've had a concussion and it's absolutely not healed yet. So they have good days, good times of the day, bad times of the day, a lot of inconsistencies. A little dab of gold, and in 15 minutes, it not only brought it to the right color, mostly yellow there, but the fewer the lines, the healthier the brain. This is truly amazing to see that much change. That is equivalent to about 120 hours of neurofeedback. Now, the difference is the hours of neurofeedback would make that a permanent change. This lasts about 3 to 6 hours for that person. But repetitive use twice a day on that brainstem over time could actually allow the potential to be restored and be able to hold this effect. The fact that it can change like this so quickly is truly amazing. Then there's another aspect where we actually have the patient focus on an inanimate object for 5 minutes and don't look around the room, don't think about anything, just stare right at that part of the object and don't move your eyes. And in this generation, in this season of existence, most people can't do that easily. Okay, they're so used to quick, swipe, short burst of dopamine to stare at something that nothing is happening. They get very frustrated. And a lot of times, the image on the right would be worse than the image on the left, like a lot worse, because that was a difficult task for them to do. Their ability to focus and clear out the lines was almost perfect. That should be exactly what happens. It might be a little bit of fuzziness in there or overexcitement of some nerves causing a little inflammation. But when at will and they put their attention and focus into something, they were able to dial it right in. Now, without the gold, you would need, again, 100 hours of neurofeedback to be able to do that sustainably and easy and effortlessly. So again, we used to wait to be able to see results. Now we see it instantly, and it's just a matter of how long does it last. We have to treat it one more time and keep the brain at homeostasis as much of the day as possible. So here's the mean of the entire group of gold people. What they all had in common was a little delay through that central part of the brain that connects the right to left brain. That was a common feature that they all had. And at the end of 15 minutes, most of all of that was clear. again. It's astonishing to see that. And then the other thing is when we look at all these purple dots, these are what are called Brodmann areas. And we have over 250 networks in the brain that make up these areas. And think of the dot as like if it was a state, like this is a map of Brodmann areas. You have 88 on each side of the brain. They all control very specific functions in your body, whatever that is. So to see all of them turned on and to have a hot mess of lines, and then 15 minutes later, to see it all clear up, it makes me so happy. I get so excited because, again, this is like months of therapy for some people to be able to accomplish that, and we can do it so quickly. So, as I mentioned, there's a few hundred networks in the brain. Anxiety network means if all of these dots were like a group text with you and all your friends, and you put out a message and you just thought everybody got it, but certain people blocked other people, and so that message didn't get to everybody. The more blockage there is and the more lines you see on the screen, that means the more symptoms in that network you're going to experience. So for anxiety, for instance, even though this is not treating anxiety, this treats inflammation and oxidation. And those are things that build up for you to actually start having symptoms of anxiety. So we can see that network falls down very nicely. So what does resilience look like in you? This is a question that I've asked myself for a long time, and I've created this slide to really help kind of paint the picture. So we start each morning, and our body's got a full glass of redox. We have good potential for the whole day, and our batteries are all charged. Okay, that's the other output of the mitochondria is ATP to charge our cells and redox to keep all the signaling and everything happen. Well, early in the morning, you got a stressful event happen, pulls you out of homeostasis, out of that beautiful center where everything's thriving and your body can just focus on healing the body and not dealing with the injuries. And then unfortunately, another one comes and pulls you in the opposite direction before you got to bring yourself back down and let it all go. And then the way we all live is you can never expect when the next stress happens and it pulls us further away from neutral and further away from neutral. And all that means is we have a lot further way to go to get home. So what does it mean when we're further away from home? It requires more redox to get back. And when we're further away from home, the pH in our body is pulled away from neutral too far and it drains our battery very quickly, like having your cell phone out in the cold. And I had a full battery 5 minutes ago, now it's dead. Okay. So we're making these molecules all day long, and we have choices that we're making all day long. So if you have this much redox at the beginning of the day and you have all these things to do between now and the end of the day, how are you using your redox? Some people might have a poor diet for breakfast. That cost you redox, didn't build it for you. And then you got to have lunch, and it was another poor choice that cost you more redox to break it down than you made from the meal. And then you got home, and on the way home, you had some road rage, which just depleted you of any reserves you have. So, like, really, what's left when you get home? Very little. And now you need to go sleep and repair and heal your body, and you have very little. Now, that same person might make different choices. You might have protein for breakfast that's easy to metabolize and actually make energy from that. And other actual plants, fruits, and vegetables, and things that grew from the ground that were alive at one point that help you make more redox. And now you keep filling your cup up. You get home, take a nice bike ride, watch the sunset. You end up with more reserve at the end of the day. So here's the question: are you adding or are you taking away with the choices that you make all day long? Now, when plan A is like, okay, well, I'm just going to do all the right choices and be perfect. And then it ends up being, well, I'll deviate a little bit here and there, but I just got to stay on course. But the reality, all of our lives are crazy. You can't predict that real life is going to cause you to need so much more of these resources than you planned on, and you unfortunately run out of gas. So what's left over at the end of the day? How many of these molecules do you have to go into the healing part of your night? Do you have enough left over for that? How about when you're sick or you're injured? It requires a whole bunch more. Do you have any reserve for that? It's like having no savings account and living day to day, paycheck to paycheck. Well, what if you were given extra redox? What if that actually could happen? You can't make more mitochondria, so you're not going to do it that way. But if you were given a whole extra glass, like back when you were in your 20s, that's exactly what our supplement will do for you. I'm not going to tell you where it's going to go and what it's going to do in you, but I do know it's going to bring potential to your cells, and your nervous system knows exactly where to go, what to do. It's got a priority list, and it's used almost immediately. So, quite frankly, it's reckless not to be supplementing with this. Why would you want to use the little bit that you have to fight the crazy stresses that you're dealing with all day long and have nothing left to get you into homeostasis and have your body go on this rapid decline of your health? Well, the good news is ASEA has made these molecules, the same exact molecules, high energy, tiny molecules, bioidentical to the ones coming out of your mitochondria. That's ASEA. This is the world's only one that you'll ever find. They have 7 patents and over 7,000 trade secrets to protect that formula. It's native to the body, which means our body makes it, doesn't have to assimilate it, break it down, and figure out what to do. It just says, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be over there. And immediately brings it to the area that your nervous system needs. Supplementing with these redox molecules increases the redox chemistry. It raises the tide of all cells, which means battery power and signaling power, both super important for your nervous system to communicate. It helps us improve our body's ability to maintain that homeostasis. How resilient can you get back home every time a stress starts coming in to your body? How happy are your mitochondria right now? You start drinking these molecules and you're going to see they're doing a happy dance. They're like, I don't have to work as hard. Wow, we have all this potential. It's actually giving me energy and helping me make more as well. What a concept. It brings out the best inner you for sure. So, making the world a better place, one brain at a time, one cell at a time, one body at a time. We absolutely love and appreciate this company and what they've done to protect it and to make sure that it didn't just get shelved and nobody ever heard about it. They could have easily gone that route, but they care too much about humanity, and we all do, and we want to make that difference. So, this is not a company that's here trying to diagnose, treat, or cure any conditions or diseases. It's not about that. We're all about improving the potential of the human body. It's up to you to make the better choices to preserve that, to be able to live a longer, healthy life and truly thrive throughout your life. Or you can ignore the signs, run out of gas, have all sorts of health crisis at a very young age. We're living at a time that is unprecedented to any other time in existence. Our grandparents and great grandparents never had the kind of stresses that we deal with on a daily basis and hold on to. Things that we're exposed to, chemicals and pollution that's never existed before now. We cannot live without restoring potential, and, or at least not live well. And so hopefully this enlightens you a little bit and got you to understand how important the brain is. And oh my gosh, technology has grown so much over the years that we have the ability to tap into this strength of our brain, dial it where we need to be, and be able to track that progress all along the way. And it is such a beautiful thing. All healing begins inside the cell. Everything that's ever harmed you or hurt you came from outside of you into you and caused havoc. This is a molecule that gets back to the inside of your cells and where the healing begins. There's no further upstream you can go to start the healing process than what your body actually does. In every instance, it's creating more potential to fuel whatever reactions and processes need to happen to bring that part of your body back to homeostasis or heal it from being injured or prevent it from dying or actually kill it and create a new cell because this one is past the point of no return. So if you like this information, please feel free to share it with somebody that you think would also benefit from learning how to restore our potential and grow old with all sorts of vigor and excitement and enthusiasm and energy and activity, being able to do things. The biggest thing that's going to cause somebody to start declining is loneliness. It's staying inside, not meeting people, not being social, and not feeling like you even want to. All of those are signs of low potential. So if you care about somebody enough, just make sure they don't have to understand how it works. They just have to take it. If they understand it, they're more likely to keep taking it and realize that this is my alpha supplement. There is nothing else that I would give up before I had to give either of the redox products up that were so blessed to be able to have access to every day. This will make every other therapy you do enhanced and receive it better. This will make all the other supplements and the food that you're eating be able to be received better and get more out of it. In any aspect of how I test these molecules for all types of looking at the body through objective testing, it hands down is impossible for it not to work, because this is how your body makes these to heal itself from the very beginning. So
Thank you, Dr. Mark. For any of you that are on here for the first time, we do a different call every week. He pre-recorded that. He was traveling for days on end. And so, but that was a new presentation, and he teaches us different things about the body every single week. We actually have these recorded and stored for the associates in a training center. And you can go in and there's a table of contents and you can look up all the different crazy things that we've talked about, including like the tongue. I mean, how redox, that was amazing when you wanted to do that. But redox is important for every single thing in life. I want to just show you a picture, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Mark a question here. So let me find this here. So I just looked up, since 2002, I have done thermography. These are from 2002, and then when I first got on ASEA, and then which was 12 years ago, and then 2 years ago. And then I had another one yesterday. And thermography, it's just like your body is like a fingerprint, only it's how your body has patterns of heat. And these are breast thermographies, obviously cropped for obvious reasons. But I happened to think last year, how much difference is there? I remember how bad I hurt. I had an autoimmune condition for 15 years, and I hurt day and night. When you look at thermography, white, I don't know why this is blurry tonight, but because I blew it up so much, I guess, but white is just horrific agony. And it all the way up into my face. Look at my thyroid here, all the way down my shoulders. My whole upper back looked like this. All the way down my spine was this hot red and orange. This is the front of me. That was all the way down the back. I hurt day and night for 15 years. And this was right before I got on ASEA. And you can see, like, I was on medicine for about 40 some 50 years, I don't know, forever. For my thyroid, it had quit working. It was twice the size it was supposed to be. The antibodies were up over 265. It was angry. I had 3 nodules at this point on there. They had done a biopsy. Under the arms, it's always hot. My arms are up in the air. So this is just normal heat here. And this was some years in, when everything, just a couple of years ago, where everything was so much calmer. But when I even look at the thyroid, because I no more than got on the ASEA and the nodules were gone within 10 days, because I had a scheduled ultrasound, just kind of the way the timing was for my every 6-month ultrasound I'd had for 7.5 years, and the nodules are gone. And now 5.5 years ago, 2 different doctors, a surgeon and a naturopath, said, well, Sherry, you've had a medical miracle. Your thyroid's working again. Well, that medical miracle is redox, because when you look at the gene study from 9 years ago, it talks about the thyroid. It's part of the hormone gene that is switched back on. Stress toxicity will switch those genes off in your body, and redox switches them back on. And one of those happens to be the hormone in your thyroid falls into that category. So I had one yesterday, and it was so good to see the patterns be the same. There's massive amounts of breast cancer and all kinds of cancer on both sides of my family. So for me to visually be able to see that everything is good, there's good patterns happening, I can breathe for another year. But I said to the gal, I had a new gal, my other lady of 22 years of doing this, retired. She trained a new gal. And I said, let me try something if you would. I have this gel, which is the Redox Gold that has 24 karat gold in it that goes down the gene pathway for inflammation. She is dealing with the same kind of thing I used to deal with. And I wanted her to see how this product can affect inflammation in literal seconds. So I said, keep the camera on. I turned my back to this camera that senses heat, and then it comes up on her computers instantly. So she sees it in a nanosecond. And I put some of the Redox Gold on my hand. I rubbed it on the back of my neck and just swiped it across my upper back. She goes, it's turned blue. It's getting bluer. It's getting more blue. It's getting more blue. She was so shocked because blue is cool. When the colors are blue, purple, that's cool. That means the inflammation isn't there. And it pulled that inflammation out in not even 5 seconds. She was shocked. And it was so great to have her see how quickly this product topically could make a difference. And then when you drink it, it just goes to every cell in the body and it picks whatever, whatever needs fixed, it goes there. But Dr. Mark, I just wanted you tonight, if you would, to talk a little bit about, there's a couple of people on here tonight that have been through similar things to you with your car accident. Could you just talk about, in a couple of minutes, how you use the product? I know you just came in from a 10-hour day and your wife was rubbing the Redox Gold on your neck and upper back when you walked in, because I was so glad that you showed that car. Every time I see it, I cringe. I can't believe that you're both still alive. But, when you've had something so traumatic and you have a lot of tingling and discomfort that goes down and still radiates. Can you tell them, you're muted, can you tell them what that car accident did to how many bones in your spine and in your pelvis and stuff? Because this was not just a small accident that you had. Oh, he'll be back.
Yeah, there was background noise I needed to turn off.
Okay.
But I guess in the short version, and I do
I've
have,
heard the long version, and we both sit there bawling.
I
So
will plug that on my YouTube channel, there's a Good News Doctor podcast channel, and episode 1 is the full story of it all, and it's with my whole family, and they talk about all that recovery time. So I was a passenger. I braced my legs on the dashboard, and when I saw it coming, we went through 8 lanes of traffic in the rain, spinning, and just missed a car in almost every lane. And then the very last one, a moving truck hit us head on, but we were backwards at the time going into him, and so he basically ran us over. I knew we weren't going to miss it, and so I braced my legs on the dashboard, and with that, snapped my pelvis in half, front and back, and right down the sacrum and the pubic bones in the front. And then all the muscles in my legs were ripped from the pelvis. I lost a third of my intestines. And then I shredded the ligaments that hold your spine together in 11 different segments of my spine. So it was like a slinky. It was a hot mess. It felt and I broke like 40 bones, and there was a lot of other soft tissue damage, but um, the prognosis was not good. And then I overcame all those odds, and it would have two steps forward, one step back, one step forward, three steps back, and there was lots of hills and valleys through the recovery. Of course, I was very stubborn. And so I wouldn't even take a Tylenol for 11 years. I was at a pain level 10 all the time, but I just kept saying, hey, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional, and I'm choosing not to suffer. But if I do that, I'll be in a bubble, then I'll never find my way out because I won't know how my body's responding to anything. And I had to know. And I would find things that worked. I find so many things that didn't work. I was really happy when a doctor told me they couldn't help me because at least they're not going to waste my time anymore. And they were honest. And but along that way, boy, I met people like Sherry, and I would still be in a wheelchair today if I didn't have this amazing product in my life. And I don't usually get emotional,
No, you
it's been
don't.
a while, but I drink at least 8 ounces a day. More like a half a bottle a day is my average. Since the golds come out, I can get away sometimes if I'm traveling and have a little less if needed. But my routine is outside of drinking that. Usually it's at least 4 ounces in the morning and four at night. And then I have bottles everywhere. So I'm always grabbing an extra shot, as I'm going running through the office and doing things. Before I do my strenuous bike ride or swim, I'm drinking 4 ounces before and after. And so that helps me get through it and then I can recover. Now, if I don't take this within a day, I will have horrible, and we're not making claims, but horrible neuropathy, hands and feet. And if I walk too far, I'll fall apart. The doctors say I shouldn't be able to do all the things that I do, but it's because I do 3 hours of therapy every morning and because I take all of this ASEA and do everything that I do that allows me to keep having the freedom to live a normal life and do sports and do, travel and do things. I pay a price sometimes if I stop and not consistent. Like anything, consistency is everything. The goal or the Renew 28, every time I get out of the shower, I put about a quarter size in my hand, and it's all over my face, in and around my ears, my neck, front and back. And I don't have hair, so I can do my head too, a scalp, but it's always face, neck, and shoulders up. Okay, it starts at that. And then the bottom of both my feet. Okay, all the reflex points in your feet light things up. And I notice if I don't do that one day because I'm running late, I'm just going to put my shoes and socks on and go, all my things fall apart much faster. So it's part of the key of hitting all these reflexology, ears, hands, feet. And then, all the skin, stuff that's exposed to the sun the most, hit that because those are oxidizing too fast and aging you and wrinkling you. And this renews the skin in 28 days. So I'm very diligent with the Renew 28 all over my body first. Then I grab the gold. I will do a pea size on my finger and just go right to the top of my neck where the skull is, and I'll roll it up into my skull. And that's what I did on all those studies, just that little bit. I'll take another dab and I'll rub it down at the base of my neck where all the neuropathy from my hands is originating. And I'm good for 12 hours. And I'll do it again on my low, another little bit on my low back. This one, I don't just put all over my body like I do the other one. I'm very generous with the Renew 28 all over my body. You can do that with this, but I noticed it didn't really make a difference. You want to go to the focus, it's like a laser. Go right to the spine in the areas where those part of your spine is in the same level of whatever organ or tissue or issue you're having. And then you can travel down, and if it's wrist pain, you can try the spine first. That usually does it. If not, you put a little bit where the nerves are. Okay, it goes right into like a laser. It takes the inflammation out so fast. So it can be, you can use less and have great effort or effect of it if you're in the right spot. So maybe you try My knee has all this discomfort on it. I put it right where the discomfort is. It didn't really do anything. That's weird. I went to the exact opposite side of the knee, put a little dab there. Within 2 minutes, it was gone. So it might not be the pathway you think, but work around the area and see if another area can light it up. If you want to see if it works, you can rub it all over the area one time and say, okay, I know it's going to work. Let's see where it works best. And so I'm not trying to make it complicated. I'm just saying that this is so powerful and effective. A lot of people can put it right on their brainstem, and now all of a sudden the discomfort in their feet is gone. Okay, and so it's affecting the entire nervous system that quickly. Um, and so that's awesome. But it's also making healthy diet choices, making sure you're hydrated. The water is the biggest thing. I can do all the right stuff, but if I don't drink water all day long, I wonder why I fall apart. Okay, and so it really is a lot of common sense. And we're all guilty of not using common sense sometimes and doing something that might not be great for my body, but I feel like I want to taste that. Whatever. We're human. It's about realizing that you don't do that twice in a row. Okay, do it once, your body will back off and let these things pass by, as long as good stuff keeps coming down the very next time. So there's ways of making a better bad choice and still thriving and being healthy all the time. So I don't want to think people that need to live that plan A, that it's a straight line, or even the plan B. It's kind of impossible. But if you can just be consistent with the important things, you will find that all those other little symptoms and things that you dealt with were related to it. And when we have more potential, hey, guess what? You're throwing more workers in there to fix the job, highly qualified workers to fix the job. And
Yeah.
so they're tiny molecules that can go anywhere and get exactly where they need to go, and your nervous system needs it the most. A single cell in your nervous system has 2.5 million mitochondria making energy for it. The rest of your cells have a few to a few hundred. Okay, so we need, our nervous system need these molecules really more than anything. And they get it if you consume it. They'll know your body's nervous system has a priority list that is unlike yours. You don't realize the things that it has crisis with, that's on the verge of collapse. You're like, oh, my fingernail hurts. Why didn't it fix my fingernail pain? It's like, it might not be the thing that you're looking for. It'll eventually get to it. 10 years on this, I no longer need reader glasses most of the time. If I don't follow my routine, first sign for me outside of pain is my end of the day, I gotta wear readers. Morning, I'm good, but it wears off. People spray it in their eyes. I've had so many patients don't need glasses at all, had to wear glasses 24/7. Don't need their cane, don't need their support, don't need this medication. We're never going to tell you to stop taking a medication. Only the doctor that prescribed that medication could ever alter it. You be consistent with everything. This isn't going to interfere with anything. If those medications start giving you symptoms now that are on that list of possible side effects that never did before, that means your body's healing, and now you might not need as much. Let them do lab work, let them retitrate your doses and keep you healthy. Okay, but it's all about, you're going to see your body get healthy in ways that you had not imagined. And there might be some of you that have been on this product for a few years that are on the call and haven't had a breakthrough in a long time. You're not taking enough. If you still have issues and your body hasn't resolved it yet, you need more. Okay, you can't take any amount that would hurt you unless you took more ounces of like water that can be damaged. You can't drink so many gallons of water a day. But as far as realistically, however much you would normally drink, you could drink a lot more, and you can do that for a week and see how much things would change, because you'll start to see change. If you throw more workers in once in a while, maybe you might not notice. Do it consistently for a little bit and you'll find that breakthrough. I think Jack even said that he took it for a long time and didn't notice anything. Sherry noticed a little bit, but then he doubled it, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, woke up one morning and it was gone. It was like if you're taking a little bit and not finding that breakthrough, well, you're preventing a lot of other things from falling apart, and helping it a little bit, but we don't know behind the scene how close are you. Don't be afraid to consume more. Okay, that's the biggest thing. And the
You had
salt.
a computer in your spine when I met you. that deadened you from the armpits down. And I've never even known you to turn that on with the Sia.
Yeah, that was part of the surgeries and the trauma that I didn't get to. But when they put me all back together, they put a computer inside my spinal cord and wrapped it around my spinal cord and gave me a remote control with 29 different programs that I could make it feel like I'm basically laying in the rain, and I can control the speed and the depth of the raindrops on my every square inch of my body from my chest down. But it would radar jam any sensation. So you could touch me or poke me or stab me and I wouldn't know. And so all that pain, it blocked the pain from coming through the spine. It basically radar jammed my nervous system, not send the pain signals to my brain anymore, but send different feelings. And I could make all sorts of different feelings. So it was a miracle because I was literally in bed for 2.5 years and took people to move me into a chair and to move me. And it was always so horrible. And when they did that surgery, it was like I could get out of bed and get in the chair by myself, and I could walk up to 30 steps, which was a huge breakthrough. But that was it. That was my limit. I couldn't lift anything. I couldn't walk too far, but I didn't have to have people help me with daily activity things. And
Look
then
at you now.
within that same year, it was like breakthrough, 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 breakthrough. And then I've just never looked back. And honestly, I took a SEER for a while and wasn't realizing how much it was helping me because I felt it was everything that I was doing. I finally found it all. And then I've gone days, weeks, sometimes without some of the other things, and I never fell apart. I go a day without this, I fall apart like, oh yeah, this is my body really loves the fact that I'm giving it more potential than it has. I got lots of scars. I've had a lot more injuries that I never talked about either. And but I've always healed really fast. I've never been sick. I don't get colds. I don't ever have any of that. I've just unfortunately been
Shattered.
most of the time in a passenger in the car, like 6 or 7 car accidents. I wasn't driving, and um, and so what happened? But here we are because we're resilient, and your body has an amazing ability to heal and repair.
Yeah.
The one thing that I could leave you with is there was times when I was doing really good and was very optimistic. I'm a certified optimist in general, and I always have been. So I'm like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. My parents kept saying, hang in there. You're going to find something that hasn't been invented yet. You will get your breakthrough. And that's exactly what happened. And the biggest aha moment I had is a time when I was really down. I went for 4 years where I let myself take all of these class 2 narcotics and every 3 hours on the hour. And it took me from a 10 to an 8. It just barely touched it, but I didn't feel like I wasn't going to survive. And during that whole time, I was in the bubble. And then when I found all of these things that same year, I was off everything and never had to do it again, never had to turn my computer on that I needed 24/7. Where those things, the batteries should last a month before I need to recharge it that's inside me like a pacemaker. I had to recharge mine every day. I was the only person in the history of this company that could ever have the thing maxed out at it wide open all the time. And it still didn't take it away. I had such a high pain threshold. So they weren't giving me any hope that I'm ever going to be better. Like, this is ridiculous. You have to charge that every day, and it hurt to charge it. So it was a very painful whole experience. But I wouldn't give it up because it allowed me to do things for myself for the first time. But I guess the biggest breakthrough for me was when they were trying to take my joy away. And they were trying to tell me to stop fighting. And if you stop trying to get better, you'll finally just accept the fact that you are like you are. And I almost believed it. I was that close to just staying in the chair and just not ever fighting it again and just dealing with it. And then I realized, you know what? Our body makes new cells all the time. I said, these damaged cells are only going to be here for a season. Everyone has a different turnover rate. But you know what? If I keep focusing on what this cell needs to be a better version of itself, that's where I'm going to find my breakthrough. There's no other way I'll get through it unless I do it that way. I have to help my cells become better than the way they're functioning right now. And this was even before I knew a CA existed. It was all, I didn't call it redox molecules, I called it innate intelligence. That's what chiropractors we do. We release the nerve interference, let innate take over and do the healing. Like that's the only way it's going to happen. And the fact that I know that these damaged cells will be replaced. Do I give it the potential to find a much cleaner, younger version of it? Or do I just continue this lifestyle of sugar and processed foods that have losing all my redox? I don't have anything left. I'm making, if redox is a copy machine for your DNA to make the next cell better, are you making like 200 copies, or are you literally making 3 billion copies to find the cleanest one? If you had full potential, you literally make 3 billion copies of all your DNA before you find the one that goes into that stem cell. And so that was it. I said, that's how I'm going to find my breakthrough. And everything that I found that year was, guess what? Cellular focus, bringing potential, getting nutrients into the cell. It was all back to that cellular philosophy. And I found it. And then I've never looked back. And I've always been living it, but I needed to connect the dots. I needed to hear it differently from somebody else to give me that hope and that faith again, that I have faith in my body's ability. It's kept me alive this long, every second making 65 quadrillion chemical reactions in the dark. Why don't I have faith in that? Why don't we have more faith in the power that made the body and heals the body? We just got to give it potential. You're going to hear that over and over again, but that's where it begins. Charge the cell, and now it can communicate, it can identify and signal and make you a better version of yourself. That's what tonight was all about, to realize, hey, we got technology to track progress here. Objectively, we can show you where you grew tissue, and now this works good. And that's permanent. It's not something that's just for a few hours, okay? We have ways of helping you restore yourself to the younger self. I wouldn't work with anybody if they weren't willing to take this product, because it would make me go back to slow motion again. I treat you, I wait 2 weeks. Did it change? No, I treat you a little bit. I mean, it's like you played this game for 6 months. Why don't we just do it right, and in 3 days have the change you would have in 3 months? It doesn't make sense not to have potential first. It makes everything else work better. And if you're a practitioner and your philosophy, mission statement, reason for being in practice isn't to help people get well and stay well as quick as possible, then shame on you. Like, what are you doing? And I'm sorry to be so rude and blunt in that, but it's always about the patient. And we want you to have the best ability to get better fast and not waste time. And that's exactly what this will do for whatever kind of practitioner that's watching this. It helps everything work better. And guess what? When you get them better faster and it costs them less money, what do? They tell more people about you. So it's not something that's going to hurt you by getting them better quicker. Too many people want to not get you better until your insurance runs out. So I don't want to get on that soapbox. Just know that you're in charge of your health. Nobody's going to be a better supply sergeant for what goes into you than you. Don't wait for somebody else to do it for you. Just do it. And you will be pleasantly surprised and live a wonderful, long, happy life. So I don't want to turn this into a 2-hour call. So we'll.
I know we've been on there a long time, but thank you
It's
so
great
much
to
for
hear the
reliving
story.
That was a
that.
very open-ended question. Like, can you just tell people real quick what you do?
I know, I know. So anyway, I'm going to let everybody go. We've been on here a long time. Thank you so much. Get back with the person that invited you, get your questions answered. They can help set up a wholesale account for you. You know, just tell you the specials that they have. They have special packs where you can get the gels for free or for almost nothing, depending on which gel, and free shipping. The company has done so much to create ways to make it more affordable and even get points back to spend toward free product in the future. So thank you so much to those of you who do share. If somebody hadn't shared with Jack 12 and a half years ago, he would have been gone back then. And it's great to just hear again how powerful it's been for you, Dr. Mark. I know in the beginning you were like, yeah, you know, but you stayed on it. And then it was like, really? And it's been great to watch his own belief grow. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. We do a training tomorrow night at exactly this time 10 minutes ago on a different Zoom. So if you're an associate, it'll be in the WhatsApp chat. The link, it's a different Zoom link than this one, but I hope you'll join us and learn some more about ASEA. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mark.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
Dr. Mark.
Good night.
Night.
Night, Mark.